The analysis of minimum prices is exactly the opposite to that of maximum prices. If a minimum price is set very high, higher than the market price, what do you think will happen? Will a lot more people want to buy at such a high price? No. If the price rises, the number of people who want to buy drops. But if the price is very high, what do you think entrepreneurs will do? What signal is sent to entrepreneurs? The signal is that they should mobilize their resources to produce a very large quantity of that good. Let us say the minimum price is higher than the market price, and consequently, a very large quantity of the good is produced, and many fewer people wish to buy the good. Well, just as we saw that a maximum price causes scarcity, a minimum price causes an immediate overabundance of the good in question. In other words, a widespread oversupply of the product remains unsold. It is available for sale, but it is not sold. And if I cannot sell it in the conventional way, I must rely on alternative methods for selling it, such as recommendations, cronyism, and the like. A typical example would be when a minimum price is set for our provision of labor services. This is called a minimum wage. If a minimum wage higher than the market wage is established, many more people want to work, and many fewer entrepreneurs want to hire. As a result, there is an overabundance of services which cannot be employed. Joblessness. People then look for an alternative method. I am giving you an example which these days is affecting mainly young people, women, immigrants, the marginalized classes, etc. People look for an alternative system, and we have all received recommendations. I get a lot of them. Listen, this girl is a good worker. Why not hire her as an intern? And people start to pressure you. In the market, it is not necessary to pressure anyone, nor to resort to cronyism, nor are problems solved by violence or ration cards, but simply by mutual agreement. There is no need for recommendations. As soon as a maximum or a minimum price is set, such alternative, unnecessary and inefficient systems for resource allocation immediately emerge. They are also totally unjust, because perhaps there are two candidates, and one is worth more as an employee, but she does not get the job, because the other person has a recommendation. What an injustice! State intervention in the economy causes injustice and corruption. The free market process prevents injustices and avoids the need of relying on alternative mechanisms for product allocation. And of course, a minimum price not only leads to an overabundance of a good, it also impacts entrepreneurship. If a high price is set for a good, entrepreneurs rush to produce it. Think, for instance, of the famous incentive payments made to solar energy companies in Spain. What happened? Well, thousands of companies were created to sell electric energy generated using solar panels. And since there was a subsidy, the price was much higher than the normal per kilowatt price. Then we turned on the TV. Corruption! What villains entrepreneurs are! What terrible people! It turns out they were selling energy produced with solar panels during the night. But there is no light at night. There is no sun. What was going on? Well, they had bought a little machine, a generator, which produced energy using diesel fuel, and they were selling that energy at 27 or even 40 cents instead of 7. I am estimating the figures. Does this story surprise you? It should not. It was all perfectly obvious. And then the state blamed entrepreneurs instead of the minimum price system it had created. Another typical example, the Common Agricultural Policy. For a series of reasons, we are told we must support farmers and the countryside, and so we establish minimum prices higher than potential market prices for agricultural products. The result is a never-before-seen overabundance of agricultural products in Europe. Minimum prices are later replaced with subsidies, but the effect is the same. Take note. Minimum prices higher than potential market prices are set for bread, milk, potatoes, olive oil, and so on. And there, European citizens are, like morons, all paying much more for food than we should have to pay. Am I right or not? Yes. Also, entrepreneurs are highly efficient, especially German and French entrepreneurs, and they start using machines to produce agricultural goods we are not demanding because they are so expensive. There is a huge overabundance. No one knows what to do. There are not enough warehouses in Europe to store it all. The storage cost is staggering, and it is paid with tax money. Now what? Solutions. The thinkers in Brussels all put their heads together. Damn, what a mess we have gotten ourselves into. Everyone is paying twice the necessary price for agricultural products. The market is flooded with wine, oil and the like. On top of that, the storage is costing us a fortune, and we are charging a double tax toll to pay for it. We have to think. Wait, that's it. We have the solution. 2 great solutions. Why has this never occurred to us before? We will flood international markets with these products and sell them there at a low price, 1/10 of what they have cost us. That way we will get something for them, and we will not have to store them anymore. They flood international markets with wheat, flour, oil, etc. And incidentally, do you know what effect this has on third world countries that produce only agricultural products? We bankrupt them. But it does not matter if the countries of the third world go bankrupt, because we are very kind and generous, and we are going to pay them 0.7% of GDP in aid. Another tax. Look at that. It is the third one. First, we pay double for agricultural products. Second, we pay taxes to store them. And third, another tax to pay 0.7% in aid to somehow soothe our guilty conscience. This is for the countries of the third world. They are having such a hard time, and they need a redistribution of income. Wait, I just had another great idea. Why have we never thought of this before? It is marvelous. We will make incentive payments to farmers for destroying agricultural products. It is so obvious. Anyone who kills or sacrifices his cows will be paid so much per cow. And of course there is no way to milk a poor dead cow. Excellent! And for every hectare that is not farmed, so much. What a great idea! What an overload of taxes! It is madness. Well, obviously all of this needs to be dismantled. In fact, everyone knows this, but no one is politically brave enough to do it. The moment someone tries to touch an incentive payment, a subsidy, or a minimum price, farmers go en masse to the Ministry of Agriculture building and block the streets. In France they do the same, but on tractors. No one is brave enough. Notice how the logic behind an interventionist measure produces a negative effect, which makes another interventionist measure necessary, and so on, until we have created a monster, and no one knows what to do about it. And that is not to mention the quintessential minimum price, which is the minimum wage. No one is politically brave enough to do away with the minimum wage. During the Thatcher years, the minimum wage was eliminated in the UK, and the move was extraordinarily successful. There was no minimum wage. Unemployment vanished, especially among young people, women, etc. And a dramatic increase occurred in productivity and economic development. But politically speaking, no one is now brave enough. Note how perverse democracy is. It creates incentives to engage in certain foolish behaviors. It is truly a politically perverse system.